Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back. It should start in 8 minutes. Never know. They could be late. They always are. Good afternoon. Please come in and say hi. The cart will never be on time. They never, never are. They take their sweet, precious time because they can. I won't give up my day job. Promise. Oh, gosh. Hmm. 7 minutes. I bet they'll be a little late. If anybody tells me I have a good singing voice, I know they're lying. I've been told that ever. Who else popped in besides Lori Ann? Come on, everybody, show me who you are. Give me some support. I'm putting myself out here. Really, I'm putting myself out. Wow. How many people do this? It must be insane. Oh, well. Yeah, hello, hello. The person here. Come in, come in. Tell us who you are. All rise for hot coffee. Tell us who you are. Oh well, they're just shy. Please don't make me beg. It's not for you. It really isn't. I'm just I'm not talking to you like scream. Oh, that could be long. What have to shut down if I don't have anybody talk to me? I don't know how the extremists do it. I really don't. They get what 400, 500. And to keep all those people entertained. I don't know how they do it. I don't. And some of them are boring. So, how is the state going to prove that she was involved in this murder case? Been reading law and crime chat room, and whatever I say right now, please don't hold it to the gospel truth. I heard that she was driving the car or helping him in the dumpsters. I don't know. Gee, I don't know. Was there DNA in the house of hers? Yeah, there's a lot of questions, right? Lots. Okay, here I am. I'm back. My brother just called me to tell me that he spent $500 on to get his dogs taken care of. They're babies. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there was blood in the house. The DNA would have been checked out for sure, for sure. Um, I don't know. I just one thing that really frustrates me about this. Hello, Spacey. We're back. Yes, we are. Okay, one thing that really bothers me about this whole entire case is that there was absolutely no opening statement. It does not give us a roadmap to the events. It would have been nice to have the state and the defense give us some kind of roadmap. Don't you guys think so? I don't know. Ooh, it's wiggling. Please, please, come on. Yeah, I mean, that's what makes this whole thing frustrated. The entire thing. I don't get it. I don't get why they didn't have an opening statement. Anyway, good afternoon. We are back. And um, we are waiting for them to come back. And as I understand, Lorianne, that Connecticut is well known for not having them in their courts. And I don't know why. Somebody in chat said that they were from Connecticut and that it has happened. I never seen it happen, but it has happened, according to things that I was reading. We can ask John. John, I keep emailing him, but you know what? Let me see if I can email him again. Some people want him. We want John back. John, if you're listening to this and you're hiding somewhere, we miss you. We want you back. It's not that I can't handle this, but John, I'm not a lawyer. Okay, no opening is a normal there. Well, I don't know if that's the case, but I guess it has happened. There. Somebody told me that. So yeah, definitely it's normal there. Hold on, everybody. I am going to email our John. Um, yeah. Or better yet, let me text him. So anyway, here we are, and here we are. Lay his down because I'm going to text John, and I'm praying that this comes on time. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, hold on. Okay. Here we go.
It's helpful to first determine who testified about what they believed to be blood. Here, they were percipient witnesses. Several witnesses that had been on scene and observed certain substances and stains at the crime scene. The testimony by those witnesses was to be that what they observed was blood. Now, the defendant moved for an in limine preclusion of that testimony by any.
Earn a 25-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver for every $50 you spend. That's right, a 25-cent fuel saver for every $50 this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So in Grant, the state, or rather the court, cited State versus Schaefer, finding that it was permissible to admit into evidence the opinions and common observers, or rather of common observers, in regard to common appearances, facts, and conditions. However, that testimony
why is this
could
mute?
not have been based on the testimony
I'm sorry.
of others or some set of facts.
I don't know why.
So the holding, as the court sees the holding in that case, is that even lay
Okay, it has to be on their end, right?
their belief that a substance was blood, as long as that testimony is not based on.
Well, why is there no
the court
sound?
Testimony.
Oh, just a minute, you guys.
Or
Let me see if I can figure out why.
Hypothetical statement.
Is it just me, or
Now, of course,
maybe they just don't want us to hear this?
That was a situation
Oh
in
God,
which
this
expert
trial is driving me
testimony was
crazy.
The expert witness said that a stain found on one of the defendant's shoes had given a positive result on a presumptive test for blood. And
Okay, can you
usually
guys
there's a
hear that?
presumptive test only.
Okay.
The court held that the result of the presumptive test for blood had no probative value whatsoever. The test result did nothing toward establishing the likelihood of the presence of human blood. In that case, there was only
No kidding, Lori.
test. That testimony should have been excluded and should have been found inadmissible. Now, in State versus Whipper, there was no testing at all by the police detectives.
This is where John would come in handy.
The detectives had testified that an eyewitness had seen the defendant break a vase over the victim's head. The police concluded in their testimony that the bloody hand or palm print on that vase was actually blood. An expert then testified at the same trial, and he stated that the bloody palm print on the vase was the defendant's, but he said on cross-examination that
I just text John to make a special
had
appearance.
reacted to certain chemical reagents
Back.
consistently with
Hello.
the way blood
Glad you
would
made
react.
it.
But there
Welcome
were
to
other
the
substances that would
trial
have
with
the
no
same
opening.
reaction.
No opening.
Because the police did not test the blood, the fingerprint expert did not test for blood.
So here we go,
that,
folks.
It was improper for the state's witnesses to testify that the palm print found on the vase had been
He is a
blood.
smart cookie. Yeah, I think we were funny together too.
In Grant,
Please, John, come back
recipient
a little bit.
testimony,
No, you just come back and
they
pop
observed
in,
what
pop
they
back.
believed to be blood and
So we know.
described as a trail of blood. This is another case in which you have lay people testifying about what they believe.
This is Ginger Snaps.
The court held there a person of ordinary knowledge and experience is generally competent to testify that a substance personally observed by that person appeared to be blood.
He ignores
Although
my
the particular
calls.
facts and circumstances surrounding the witness's observation of the substance might
I take it
affect the
personally.
weight to
That's
be
the way
given
he
to the
is.
testimony.
Still
The
love
fact
him,
that the
though.
substance
Right, guys?
was
We
not
love
subject to scientific testing to rule out any possibility that it was not blood. does not render the testimony inadmissible.
I mean,
So now we come to Downing.
Copy.
In Downing, we had a criminologist
You
testify, opining on the stand
and
that they
channel.
relied on a presumptive test for blood.
No. Okay, I'm done.
Argued that testimony should have been included pursuant to Moody. In Downing, the court should say this first. This issue really comes down to what is probative. And to make it simple, is a presumptive test by itself probative? According to Moody, no, it is not probative. On that basis, it would not be admitted. The next question is a presumptive test under all circumstances not probative? The answer to that is no. In Downing, the court quotes Moody, the presumptive test for blood had no probative value whatsoever because the test did nothing toward establishing the likelihood of the presence of human blood. We're talking there about a situation in which there was no other factor to be considered.
No one's going to win this.
However, in Downing,
at this moment, I think it should be a mistrial.
Just all that the presumptive test, again, by itself, is not
going to be
probative in any degree. Yeah. However, there are other factors that can be considered that would render it probative, not conclusive, but probative, such as the color of the substance, the shape of the substance, other factors that could indicate that the presumptive test could be confirmed. Now, in this case, we have a presumptive test or presumptive tests. The issue then becomes, are there other factors that can render the presumptive test not conclusive, but probative? Because relevant evidence has this definition. It's evidence that has any tendency to make a fact, the existence of a fact that is material to the determination of the matter more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. So in this case, you have a presumptive test by itself, not good enough, but you also have a missing person investigation. You have the color and shape of unidentified stains. You have spatter pattern. You have unidentified stains on the vehicle, in the garage, and you have an abandoned vehicle owned by Jennifer Dulos. In combination, the presumptive test is probative. The issue now goes to what weight the jury will give to the evidence.
I don't think our body would be found either.
So,
hello?
The only danger this
whoever popped in
is if there's a question asked.
We're back.
And the defense, rather the state's witness says that presumptive test is conclusive. And remember, the court can also ask questions.
If you're just tuning in now and you're new to this case, read the description below, and it'll just give you an idea how this case was, or how this case is doing. Hi, how you doing? Oh.
Just for the record, I would note that
Good
in Downing, the expert evidence showed that some of the splatter had already been tested and confirmed at the lab to be blood, not just that it looked like blood.
Feel free to ask questions. You will try to answer
the
it.
court, I would ask the court to address the second part of my argument, that its probative value is completely outweighed by its prejudice, especially in light of the fact there is no confirmatory tests, and that when it is tested, it is not blood. So to let it in is the equivalent of allowing, as I indicated, that rust that the jury can infer that that was blood. So I ask the court to at least address the other part of my argument.
Well, the issue again is not prejudice, but unfair prejudice.
This case is really wild. Actually, this case is really
with
nuts.
respect to the fact that a test is, all evidence is going to be prejudicial, to rise to the level of unfair prejudice at this point.
Yes, welcome. Welcome. How did you hear about us?
Test when the witness is going
Just
to
curious.
testify that it is.
Yes. Thank you, Spacey, for offering coffee for
It's
that.
also subject to
Thank you.
a very competent counsel who can
Hope they
cross-examine
stick
you
around
about
and
the
enjoy
adequacy of
our
that test and about the fact
happy
that a lot of
family.
this evidence did make it along
Okay.
the chain and go to the lab, and what they did there, whether they tested it or not, I'm not going to even address any of that today. I believe Attorney McGinnis will deal with that next week. But with respect to the prejudicial value, I don't think it rises to unfair prejudice, and counsel can cross-examine, and that will go before the jury.
Well, again, the only danger the court sees for the state is that the state's own witness says it's conclusive.
I understand that, Your Honor.
As far as unfair prejudice is concerned, the court does not see that the prejudice is so substantial as to preclude any effective cross-examination. So the court will allow testimony concerning the presumptive test. We can bring the jury in.
Well, thank you. Glad to hear that. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I know. John was a lot of fun. But anyway, you got a cup of coffee from Spacey, and that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start giving people coffee when they come in. Look at her. You know, me and people watching. Look at her. I didn't do it. I didn't tamper any evidence. I didn't cover anybody up, cover things up. No, I didn't. Yes, she does look evil.
No. The presence of all of the jury.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Bring the jury.
Next witness, the state calls Detective Riley.
The jury is in.
May I approach the clerk?
Yes.
So, Moonfox, what do you think so far with this case? Can you give us any input? Since we didn't have an opening, everybody's just been kind of putting pieces together here. We're just free flowing it right now, freestyle the case. Yeah, we could use John right now, couldn't we? Oh well, I text him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Huh? Yes, he did, didn't he? Oh, Lorianne, did you look up that article that I told you about yesterday on HuffPost?
Raise your right hand. Do you
Yeah,
solemnly swear or
HuffPost has some good information.
sincerely affirm as the case may be
Right,
that
I'm
the
gonna keep
evidence
my
you
mouth
shall
shut.
give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Matthew Riley, R-E-I-L-L-Y.
And you may be seated.
Thank you.
Good
May
afternoon.
inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, ma'am.
Okay, good, Lori. I'm glad you're reading it.
Mr. Riley, or Detective Riley,
Um,
sorry, are you currently employed by the state
Put
police?
some input in,
No, I'm
everybody.
not. I retired from the Connecticut State Police in January of 22.
If you could, please explain, what rank did you retire?
I retired as a sergeant.
And in 2019, what rank did you have?
I was a detective.
Could you briefly just explain a little bit about your training and experience as a sergeant with the Connecticut State Police?
Yes, I've been a detective for approximately 20 years of my 23-year career. And during that time, I've had classes in intermediate crime
Welcome,
scene
good
processing,
afternoon.
advanced crime scene processing, lane print development, bloodstain pattern analysis, death investigation, homicide investigation, and probably a myriad of other classes.
And with respect to the Connecticut State Police, were you assigned to a particular troop or division?
I was assigned to the Western District Major Crime Squad, where
We just
I
popped in.
worked
There's
on
a
the van unit
description
as a
below.
crime scene investigator.
Could you please explain what a crime scene investigator is?
So, crime scene investigator is tasked with the investigation of a crime scene, processing evidence, handling evidence, packaging evidence, and coordinating with laboratory analysis, such things as that.
Could you discuss a little bit about your training, if you have any, with respect to crime scene analysis, that particular part of being, or that assignment, I should say?
Yes, I've attended intermediate crime scene processing courses, advanced crime scene processing courses, law enforcement photography, bloodstain pattern analysis, different trainings on the investigation of not only homicide scenes, but scenes of sexual assault, and classes on medical legal death investigation.
And how long were you assigned to the van?
Approximately 14 years.
In 2019, who was assigned to the van with you?
So the van unit in 2019 was supervised by Sergeant Joe Duva, and then there was myself, Detective Jamie Pierston, Detective Jeremy Combs, Detective Frank McGavin, and Detective Mike Downs.
I'm going to draw your attention specifically now to May 24th, 2019. Did you report to 69 Wells Lane that day in New Canaan?
I did.
Why did you respond there?
I received a telephone call from the Western District Commander saying that the New Canaan Police Department was requesting assistance with a missing person investigation where they suspected foul play.
And what was your assignment for going to, or what was your reason for going to 69 Wells?
They were specifically, what I understood at the time, they were just asking for crime van assistance or crime scene investigation assistance. So I responded to Western District Headquarters in Litchfield, grabbed it, and drove down to 69 Wells in New Canaan.
So the truck, what is on the truck, if you can describe it a little bit?
So it's the major crime van is it's kind of a big toolbox on wheels. So it's a small body or kind of a medium duty truck with a cargo body on the back that contains all of our equipment, all of our supplies, additional lighting, cameras, such things as that.
About what time did you respond there? Or to 69 Wells, I should say.
I probably arrived sometime around 2 o'clock in the morning on the 25th.
Was anybody on scene when you arrived?
Well, I know New Canaan Police Department had uniformed officers there, and then I really don't remember who arrived first from our crew.
Now, you mentioned a couple names about people who worked on the van. Did anybody that you named arrive or come to 69 Wells that day?
Yes, Detective Frank McGavin was available, so he responded. And then we had several, what we call alternates. So detectives who also work in Western District Major Crime, they have additional crime scene training and experience. And they come to kind of backfill absences for people who are not able to respond.
And who were those alternates?
The alternates that day were Detective Corey Clabby, Detective Bob Hazen, Detective Katie Keppel, and Detective Dwayne LaPierre.
Did you enter the house on it? Well, I'm gonna, if I can check that. Is there when you conduct a search of a residence, is there a certain process or procedure that you utilize?
Yes. So when we arrive at a scene, usually in serious cases, the local PD is in the process of obtaining a search warrant. By the time we arrive on scene, we get a briefing as to the investigation to that point. Usually from the lead.
You know, I'm going to object that this is not the question is not what he did then. He's talking about in general. I don't know if that's.
Well, the question is, what was the procedure on that day, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I
So
would request that.
the response was generally, this is what we do. That's non-responsive. So this objection is.
I'll rephrase. I will rephrase. Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, with respect to May 24th, 2009, actually it would be May 25th, 2019. Did you have a specific procedure in place with the other officers on the van in conducting a search of 69 wells?
Yes. So, like I said, I arrived at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning. Again, New Canaan was obtaining a search warrant for the property, and once everybody arrived, we divvied up our various assignments of what we were going to do that night.
What were those assignments?
So Frank McGavin, he was assigned to take notes at the scene and prepare a scene report. Basically, it's observations and actions at the scene. I took evidence collection, so I was the evidence officer. It was my responsibility to identify, collect, package, and label all the evidence. We had a primary photographer. We also run a backup photographer. We have a videographer, and then we had somebody prepare a sketch map.
Who was your primary photographer?
That would be Detective Katie Keppel.
And the backup photographer?
Detective Bob Hazen.
And is there a particular order that those assignments are done in the course of May 25th, 2019 processing?
That night, we started out with video recording, overall video recording of the scene. Then we'll start primary and backup photography overall. I'm sorry, let me back up. The first thing we do is we conduct a walkthrough. So we conduct a walkthrough, kind of see what we have, identify any kind of fragile or transient evidence that we have.
Again, I'm going to object. It sounds like he's not talking about what he did, but what he usually.
The objection essentially is non-responsive.
And if you're in here, say hello. That's my friend.
Not what
Years ago, we were debate partners.
the routine is what happened that day. Sustained.
Detective Riley, did you participate in the walkthrough of 69 wells?
Yes, I did.
How did you enter the house?
I entered through the garage, and then I went ahead and accessed the front door because the garage appeared to have a great deal of evidence in it. So we didn't want to get it trampled. So I opened the front door, let Detective McGavin and Detective Keppel in. We conducted a quick walkthrough.
And if I can, what is the purpose of that walkthrough?
We were looking for kind of the layout of the house, the situation, getting a feel for what we had.
We know the layout of the
We're
house.
looking for any kind of transit evidence, fragile evidence, and we would start to develop a plan on how we would basically tackle this problem.
And after the walkthrough, what was the next step in processing the scene?
The next step in processing the scene is Corey Clabby started his video recording.
Were you a part of that?
No, I was not.
And after the video recording?
After that, the photographers went through, primary and backup.
Were you a part of the primary or backup photography?
No.
While the videography or the primary and backup photographers are in the house, what were you doing?
While they were in the house, I was swabbing the points of entry door handles for latent DNA.
I just want to clarify and ask you about the word swabbing. What exactly do you mean by swabbing?
A swab is just a long-handled Q-tip. It's containing sterile packaging, and we use it for the collection of evidence.
Where do you get the swabs from?
Forensic supply house.
And how are they preserved, or are they preserved, I should ask you?
The swabs are contained in, they're individually packaged in sterile wrappers. When we use them, we collect evidence, and then we place them inside of a short box that we seal and put inside of a larger envelope for labeling.
What do they look like?
The swabs, ma'am?
Yes.
Like I say, it's a long-handled Q-tip, similar to what you see at a doctor's office.
Ann, are you here? Say hello.
How do you use them?
So in this case, when I was swabbing the door handles for DNA, I would open up 2 swabs, moisten them with sterile water, and then run them around the door handles in an effort to collect up any biologic material that may have been on that door handle. I'll then cap the swabs, put them inside of a box, seal them up, and then place them in an envelope.
And is that standard policy and procedure for you when you utilize a swab?
Yes.
And did you consistently use that process anytime you used a swab at 69 Wells?
Yes.
Now, you indicated you swabbed the doors, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why would you swab the doors first?
Just in case there was an unknown intruder coming through one of those points of entry, hopefully we would be able to pick up some sort of either suspect DNA, unknown DNA.
The court is going to interject here. The court believed the testimony was that he swabbed the door handles.
I was just going to clarify that if I can, Your Honor. If I may approach, Your Honor, the state is intending to introduce multiple photographs. I believe I need to have the witness view them for ID at this point, if I may.
May I have a word with counsel privately for a moment, Your Honor? Agreement about making this move a little faster, so
If we can, Your Honor, well, do that. If I may just approach the witness. This is 9, if I may, Your Honor, I apologize. 9A has been marked for ID, Your Honor. If I can. Sir, I'm going to show you, please don't flip the page. If you look at I believe this would be page 2 off of 9A. Can you take a look at that document, please? Now, there are about 4 photographs on that document. This is under 9, states 9. It's a file labeled 169 Wells, Your Honor, with 4 photographs on it. Sir, do you recognize those photographs that are contained on that page?
Yes.
And what are those photographs?
Those are overall views of the 4 sides of the scene.
Do those pictures fairly and accurately represent the scene of 69 Wells as you saw it that night or that morning, I should say, on 5/25/2019?
Yes.
They would offer the file labeled 169 Wells off of states 9 as a full exhibit.
Is there an objection?
Oh, well, 9 is still ID, so these 4 are not, they're all on one disc. That's the problem. So I'm not objecting to these 4 being shown to the jury.
And just for expediency, Your Honor, I'm going to run through all of them if I can.
Is it identified as 9 or 9A?
9A is for ID only at this point. I believe a 9, well, both are for ID only. 9A is the document is screenshots of every file or photograph contained within 9. So instead of pulling the photograph up on the computer, counsel has agreed to let him show the screenshots to authenticate each photograph. Save some time.
So 9 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
I have to run through all of them. Counsel's not in agreement at this point.
Thank you.
If I may just approach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you page 2. Actually, it might be page 3. Under file marked 2, garage pictures in states 9. Can you take a look at that page and only that page, sir? Sir, did you have an opportunity to look at those?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize any of the photographs that are contained on that page?
Yes.
How many do you recognize?
I recognize them all.
Okay. Do they fairly and accurately what are they? I'm sorry.
Photos 1 through 5 appear to be overall photographs of the garage at 69 Wells. Photograph 6 is the photograph of the doorknob of the door in between the garage and the mudroom at 69 Wells. And photos 7, 8, and 9 are photographs of
Moonfax, do you have any kind of
removal and
other information you can provide us other than that she was tampering with the evidence?
Portray those items that you described?
Yes.
And that's with respect to what they look like on May 25th, 2019.
Anybody that has any kind of input, it's greatly appreciated.
Is states 9, file 2, labeled garage pictures.
No objection.
So states 9, file 2, admitted as full.
If I may, Your Honor. States 9A again, so I'm going to have you take a look at state file 3, labeled kitchen, and the majority of them, I will pull up the last one on the computer, but if you can take a look, please. Did you have an opportunity to look at that?
Yes.
Thank you. I would also direct your attention to the screen right in front of you. Do you see that screen in front of you?
Yes.
So just for the record, Your Honor, there is, so the record is clear, there is a screen in front of Detective Riley that only can be shown to him. The screen on the back of Detective Riley that is portrayed towards the jury is off. Sir, do you recognize what's depicted in the screen in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, both the screen in front of you as well as the document in front of you as well. Do you recognize those photographs?
I do. Could you pull up photograph 17?
I know they're small. Thank you. Attorney Moran is assisting, Your Honor. Thank you. And again, it is only for the record shown on the screen in front of you. Do you recognize the photograph 17?
Yes.
So all those photographs that you just saw, are they fairly and accurately portray? Well, I should ask this.
Hello, how are you doing?
Photographs appear to be overall views of the kitchen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for jumping in to Hot Coffee Chat.
6 appear to be
we're a fun group.
The purse we found in the house. 7, 8,
Well,
9.
Your Honor, before he gets into his description,
coffee in
item
the
not
chat.
getting evidence, I would like
coffee
at least
for
the
everybody.
opportunity to voir dire about this
everyone to collect
set
the coffee
before
cup.
I object or not object.
I haven't even finished asking him what,
Oh,
if it is
okay.
an accurate representation of what he interprets it to be, Your Honor. I would ask to finish that before.
The court will permit voir dire after
Oh.
counsel
Oh.
lays the foundation.
Thank you. You can continue, sir.
That's a good point, everybody.
And photos 7 through 15 were taken during processing of the kitchen.
That's evil.
Photo 16, an item of evidence that we seized from
How evil can you get?
And photo 17 is an exhibit that was seized from the garage.
True crime, rocket
Do you recognize
science.
all the items
Gee,
on the-
I'm gonna have to
Yes.
write that down and follow that.
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately portray what you explain them to be on May 20th, 2019?
Yes.
State would offer it at this time, Your Honor.
Brief voir dire.
Yes.
Mr. Riley, I just want to be clear as we go through these. Let's start with the image you see on the screen, which on the sheet is marked as 18-352. That's on the screen.
Hey, thank you very much for that.
At the scene, is this precisely how it appeared that you yourself saw?
I like that name. He
Yes.
killed himself
It was
for
like
revenge.
that we're seeing in the picture. You observed that at precisely as this image portrays.
Correct.
All right. And if you look at the other images, 1 through 17, when you were in the house doing your job of collecting evidence, did everything that you observed appear precisely as is shown in these images, these specific images?
Yes.
So that it not only fairly accurately represents the way the
And if you're in here listening, there is a
room
description
appeared
below that
in general,
case,
but you yourself saw these
the
exactly as they're laid out here. Is
right,
that
yeah,
correct?
there's other detail
Then I'm not
information
going
in
to
there.
object to these pictures, Your Honor.
This damn girl chick talked me into doing this a long time ago. I just stopped telling her.
More files to open up, not just. Thanks for your time.
So what is the offer?
At this point, Your Honor, we're still on states 9. Council has approved, it has been, Your Honor has admitted files 1, which is 69 wells on that. File 2, which is garage pictures.
Yeah,
And file 3,
thank
which is
you.
the kitchen. The state is
Thank
now
you,
moving
thank
on to file 4, which is titled
Go check out that
69
website this
wells,
weekend.
Clayton prints.
So 1, 2, and 3 are full already.
Already, Your Honor.
So just so that the record is clear, 1, 2, and 3 admitted as full.
And just for Your Honor, there are 15. So take a minute and take a look at.
Well, I think it's revenge. So they can't piece the crime together, and to make everybody unhappy is a revenge.
Do you recognize the items depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
What are they?
They're photographs of latent prints that we developed and seized at the scene.
What day did you seize those or develop those latent prints?
He killed himself in the most evil way possible.
Fingerprinted the house on the 27th, so on Monday.
That's just my take.
Do those photographs that you see in front of you fairly and accurately
What do you think,
portray
guys?
the prints you photographed or developed, I should say, on 5/27?
Yes.
State would offer.
I mean, how evil can you get? I mean, how evil can you get? He killed himself because nobody
You were there on the
not the truth.
25th, is that right?
Correct.
Look like
I just
Shakespeare,
understood his
isn't it?
testimony is this is something that happened not on the 25th, correct? These pictures?
That's right.
God, if this can't get
Were
any
you
more
back
interesting, I
there
don't
on
know.
the 27th after these pictures were taken?
I was there on the 27th while those pictures were taken.
Oh, while they were being taken. So
Yes.
you're there on 2 different days.
Yes.
And do these images that are in folder 4, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images, do they represent the way that the particular parts of that house appeared as you were there?
They depict the way the scene appeared on the 27th.
That's not my question. Do they, what we're looking at now in these images, do they appear exactly as when you were there, you observed them with the particular markings and whatever chemicals they sprayed?
Yes.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Right. So you saw these images precisely as they're portrayed. In other words, you were there either at the time these pictures were taken or immediately thereafter, right?
Yes.
I have no objection.
State 9, file 4, admitted as full.
Thank you. Sir, I'm going to draw your attention. State 9, file 5, titled Chevy Lapham. Please take a look at those items. Now, sir, with respect to items labeled 2 through 6, do you recognize what is depicted in those photographs?
Yes, I do.
What is depicted in those photographs?
So that is the Chevy Suburban that was found on Lapham Road as it appeared on the morning of the 25th.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately portray what that vehicle looked like on that morning on May 25th, 2019?
As I found it, yes.
With the state would offer those, Your Honor, the first item has already been admitted by a previous witness.
And I'm not objecting to that one either. If I may just follow up the same question. And to be clear, you were at the Lapham Road location and you observed the vehicle in that location at the time you were doing your evidence collection on that day?
Yes, we drove from the scene to Lapham Road.
And the vehicle was exactly as portrayed in these pictures, right?
That's how I found it, correct.
Okay. Again, I have no objection.
State 9, file 5, admitted as a full.
I think I heard that too on Moonfax. Oh my God.
Page 9 file.
This is just gonna get
Garage
easier.
A. Sir, I'm going to ask you to
Hey,
take a look at
keep
the
this coming,
photograph
Moonfax. We
and
love it.
depicted on the page.
Thank
And then
you.
if you
Y'all
can,
work
there are
together on these
two,
cases.
There is a photograph being pulled up on your screen. For the record, the video screen behind the witness is off. The video screen in front of him is on. With respect to pictures 12 and 13, they are side by side on your screen in front of you. If you take a look at all those photographs, please.
Body parts all around in small bags.
Sir, do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, I do.
Sorry. What are they?
There were photographs of the garage floor And it's 69 wells during processing.
And by during processing, is that something that you were present for?
Yes.
Okay. Did you look at those items that are depicted in those photographs? Do they fairly and accurately portray what you saw that day on May 25th, was it?
I believe these were taken on the 27th.
On May 27th, 2019, and you were present on May 27th when those photographs were taken?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately represent what those photographs or what those items contained in the photographs are?
Yes.
State would offer.
Is there voir dire?
Yes, please. And if I could just inquire counsel for a second.
The other two items, Your Honor, contained in file 6 have already been admitted through Sergeant Pearson.
And just, I'm going to ask you kind of the same question. When you were in the garage, did it look exactly like this with the tape measures and the other crime van measuring devices that we see in these images?
During our processing, yes, this is how it looked.
I'm sorry, would you say that again, please?
During processing, this is how it looked.
Well, I'm asking whether while you were there, were these items laid out as shown in these pictures while you were collecting evidence?
Yes.
So the two that are on the screen, which are identified as in subfile 6, garage A numbers 12 and 13, which don't appear on the sheet but are on the screen. These two show exactly how it appeared while you were in that garage.
Oh my
So the red
gosh.
dot on the van measuring thing was already there. Is that correct? In the picture on the right,
Oh,
that says A17. I just want to specify.
Me
which one. That was
too.
there while you were there, correct?
are good.
I
Are
believe so, yeah.
When you say you don't know,
I don't remember
I'm
exactly.
glad you came in.
What everybody
Gosh, you know
put,
what? Nancy Grace
but
would
this
say that.
is-
So would this Nancy. She's a tramp.
This represents
That's Nancy's way
two of
of
the
saying that.
stains.
Just
you
We don't
saw.
filter.
All right, well, I get that.
those who
So we're
know me.
talking about the white metric measuring devices. You recognize those from from the van, correct?
Correct.
So I asked you about the red dot or stain you see on the thing that's marked A17. Was that there when you were in the garage? So does that fairly and accurately represent what you saw?
I don't remember that.
You do not remember that.
I'm gonna have to look it up
And
on
then
Nancy
if you look
Grace.
at the image on the left that has an A16 on it, you see there's also a stain on the measuring device as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was that there when you were present in the garage?
I don't specifically remember that.
All right. We just have a moment. Except for the two images on the screen, 12 and 13, I object. I don't believe this witness can categorically state that this fairly and accurately represents the way it appeared while he was present.
If I may, Your Honor, 12, what counsel is equivocating is over a small dot on a marking.
You see, I kind of thought it did.
map,
but
not
call me.
even on the garage floor or a marking on the house, on the ruler that is used to delineate what I guess is the measurement.
You didn't think it looked like a
I'm going to
home?
object to her describing the exhibit that's not yet.
Hill of a house.
Whatever rights
I don't know.
Well, the jury cannot see what this
The
is.
shoes were all around. And
There may be
Well,
questions
I
the
don't know.
court has that will be offered outside of the presence of the jury. Because the court wants to make sure, first of all, it understands what apparently what this exhibit is.
No, I like the way the defense
screen.
does participate in this. I mean, he is just really in tuned into the.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know this becomes somewhat inconvenient.
You did get cold vibes?
The court may have some questions about.
I have to look at it
you
again.
cannot see, which is not yet in evidence. So perhaps we'll just take an early afternoon recess. Reconvene at 3:15.
All rise. This honorable Supreme Court now stands in recess until 3:15.
Afternoon break. That's all this court does is break. Oh God, she looks evil, doesn't she? Huh? Okay. All right. So there's a lot of questions in this, obviously. And there's a lot of deep research into this kind of case. And I just found this on a whim. Usually I dig deep. You guys know me from the past. I dig deep. But this one I just saw it and I like, wow. Yeah, she does look spectacle or yeah. Skeptical. Oh gosh, I can't even speak today. Too much snow on my brain. So far, let's do a recap, shall we? Yeah. Yeah, she does. And here's the whole thing. Those two were lovers. They had a relationship while he was married. Okay. She was fearful of her life when she decided to divorce this monster. I'm going to pause and see and just get some feedback on that. And he owed her parents over $2 million. So evidently there was some money issues. Yeah, Michelle probably, allegedly, we have to say, helped him plot the murder of his wife. Now, my next question is, did he live at the house after she after she told him she wanted a divorce? That's my filling in the blanks. My imagination can go pretty wild on this one. So she takes the kids to school. Let's just assume that he didn't live with her. So she takes the kids to school. Just a minute. Okay, I'm going to put this up here. Had an affair with a married man who owed $2 million to his in-laws. Yeah, probably offered the wife before himself and used her for helping with it all. Yeah, I think so. I I think that's what it was. Because, money is the evil of all things. And money is such a strong factor in somebody wanting to murder anyone. So, it's just, yeah, that does make sense. So, yeah, $2 million to his in-laws. When I saw that the other day, yesterday, only had this case a day. So I'm like, wow, that is so. And then he kills himself for revenge. Aha! Nobody is going to figure this out because I'll be dead. Yeah, they should have called a Florida gang member. That might help. We know a few. Yeah, and then a Florida gang member who gets pulled over by the cops because he was doing a traffic violation. Yeah, that's a good one. Or the one who actually shot the gun on the floorboard of their rented car. Oh my gosh, you guys, we can't make this up. Excuse me. Oh. Okay, here we go. Here's Lori's take. So you found out about the affair. Had to move 70 miles away. And that monster blocked the movers, where she asked them to wear plain clothes and use a different truck. Huh. Mistress. He owes $2+ million to his in-laws. Oh, yeah, that's a very good article. I'm glad you're reading it. I love it when everybody reads something because everybody gets something out of it that's differently that you didn't see before. That's why I like to read articles. I'm not a very fast reader, but sometimes I have to go back and read it. See if I missed anything. Okay. So now here we go, you guys. We have a guy. No, we have the husband. I'll just say that. I don't want to say a guy. Okay, we have the husband. And he evidently was not very nice man, to put it lightly. And just a second. And he has an affair with Michelle. And he's probably was getting pressured over this plus $2 million he owed to his in-laws. So here we are. And according to what I have read, and if I'm wrong, I will stand correct. And I have read that she was fearful of her children's life and her life. So while all this was going on, she finds out, and what happened was that I gosh, I lost my train of thought because I'm rereading what you said. Okay. I had to put this up again. So let's read what Spacey said. So the defendant had an affair with a married man who owed $2 million to his in-law. Okay. Probably offered the wife before him and used her for helping it with it all. Spacey, are you saying that she? Okay, see, this is the thing. After read something twice, the first time is like now I know where you're coming from with this. I know where you're coming. So probably offer the walk. Come on, anybody else come in here and jump with me? Jump in here and just tell me. Okay, offer the wife before himself. Can you? I know you're working, but can you describe what you mean by before himself? And you think she used her for the money, like not to have to pay it back? I don't know. Pretty close. Could be. All right. So now we're going to hear how everything is set up, how everything looked like the day she disappeared, was murdered. And, so here we are.
So again,
When I was just talking about that,
screen.
I didn't feel like I did.
It's not no States 9, File 6,
I
is
hate
that
that.
correct?
Yes, Your Honor, State Sign File 6, pictures 12 and 13.
And 14, Your Honor, although that one hasn't been put on the screen.
Well, the court wouldn't see those numbers, 12 and 13, on the screen.
That would be on the hard copy, Your Honor. I have no, only 12, 13. He's also speaking about 14.
What the court sees is A16 and A17.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that would correspond to which numbers?
12 and 13.
12 and 13. And Attorney Schoenholm was in the process of basically voir direing on 12 and 13. Consider the what was suspected an objection. Attorney Schoenholm. What was suspected an objection. Attorney Schoenholm. Court is going to make a distinction between authentication and what the court is looking at is a measuring device and stains. Concerning authentication, the measuring device is what it appears to be.
Oh, I'm so glad people are popping in.
Both 12 and 13. They both purport to be measuring devices. Court
that's a
sees
good question. Yeah.
Controversy concerning whether they are measuring devices. The question is whether those measuring devices appeared that way when Detective Riley saw it. Is that correct? Because he indicated that he doesn't remember the red dot on 13 and the marking on 12.
Well, the question that was asked is whether these fairly and accurately depict what he saw. And if it, there's a lot of other pictures, but if they didn't, I'll just note, Your Honor, although it wasn't put up on the screen, number 14, the next picture also has a red, what looks like another drop. And why this is important, Your Honor, is because if some of these small drops are blood-like, what's on the measuring device also looks the same. It's the same color. May also be blood-like. So the suggestion that there is more than what was actually there, that's the problem with the way the question was asked. This goes in, suggests there's more. Maybe that's blood. Maybe they dropped it on there while they were collecting it, but this witness is not the one to testify about it. That's why it's important to the defense. And I notice there seems to be another similar marking on picture 14, the next one. I don't know if Your Honor just wants me to, instead of.
We'll take the representation that there's another stain on 14.
Right.
But the question to this witness is, as the court heard the question, is this how these two exhibits, ID exhibits, appeared to you when you saw them? Said, I do not remember the stain on 12, and I do not remember the stain on 13. So now the question becomes admissibility.
That's right.
So the jury is going to hear that testimony. I do not remember what's on 12.
Okay, guys, the jury's not in yet, right?
Walking on 12. I do not
Obviously.
remember that dot on 13. And the objection is, well, there's no indication that this fairly and accurately depicts what Detective Riley saw on the 25th of May or the 27th of May.
For the record, I think it's former Detective Riley, not, I think Your Honor used the name Clavy, I think, just for the record.
What you thought it said Riley, nevertheless. And the court is just going to indicate what its ruling will be. The court is focused on the authentication of the measuring device. The jury is going to hear that that didn't appear to be what I saw on that date, and leave any cross-examination if they are admitted to counsel. Because it is going to be obvious that the jury is going to think, how did a reddish looking stain that appears on a measuring device get on a measuring device, whereas the stains on the garage floor allegedly were there 2 days before the measuring device showed up? That's going to be what they think. But this is the state's offer.
You know what, Star? That's what I think all along when I first saw that.
Before the jury comes back, there is one other issue. The court overruled the objection regarding the testimony regarding whether the reagent or presumptive, the reason for this witness's actions. But there's going to be an effort in the next 10 minutes, I assume, to try and offer, looks like, I can't tell from just the image, I'd have to call it up on the computer, 3, perhaps 4 images of somebody taking a picture with a night camera of the glow, which I submit is a separate issue of whether or not he, because I can't cross-examine the images, and I would ask that that be at least addressed outside the presence of the jury as to whether or not he was wearing, I don't know, special glasses to take the swab at the time, because the pictures are more prejudicial, in my view, unfairly prejudicial than the testimony that he did it because of the presumptive test using either the inositol or the KM.
If I can just direct counsel to the screen, are these the ones? If I can. Because I do agree, I'd rather get this out while the jury is out of the room. If I just have 1 minute. This would be under file 14, Chevy Suburban. And is this what counsel's talking about?
I believe that is correct.
So this would be file 14, Chevy Suburban. This photograph is just labeled 14. Then there's 15, and then 16. I believe those are those the 3?
Let me just have a moment. I have to call it up on my computer, Your Honor, because the image is just so black. In other words, I can't tell from the paper copy, so if I just have a moment. Oh. Could you just show me the other ones again, please?
Okay, this is 16, so this would be 15. And then this is 14.
Yes, those would be those are
That's
the
my
images
take on it.
that I would be objecting to. The later testing showed that this was not blood, and these three images, which I don't know if Your Honor can see.
He's arguing that
you
it's
don't
not
aid
blood.
the court, the jury in any event, and the fact of putting it in has no probative value whatsoever, but it will certainly make the jury confused to think it
I
was
think so,
evidence
Moon Fox. I
of
think so.
blood when it's going to be in a week or two shown that it had nothing to do, that it was not blood.
Oh, it was not blood.
Again, I feel like this is a backdoor to Your Honor's ruling already this morning that the state can offer testimony regarding the presumptive test, not only the luminol, but the KM Castlemeyer test. He can,
Good a minute, he's
of
really
course,
kind of a
cross-examine
lawyer.
Detective Riley as well as any lab witnesses, present any case he wishes to do. But like Your Honor indicated earlier, it goes to its weight, not its admissibility. And this was something Your Honor decided and is allowed. So just by virtue of the fact that it's a luminol test, I don't think affects at this point its admissibility. Now, when we get to authenticating the photograph, I guess I can do that now outside the presence of the jury. We can go through the motions if Your Honor wishes.
Well, the court does not think this is a difficult matter to resolve. The state, of course, the state has its strategy, but the state can ask its witness, is this a conclusive test? This luminol test can show not only blood, but 30 other substances. Isn't that right? So the court sees no unfair prejudice. This is the state's presentation. The court sees no unfair prejudice. And again, the court can ask, how many substances would the luminol test detect if it is unclear? So the court sees no unfair prejudice at this stage.
Would the court at least permit short voir dire about these three images so we're not taking up time in front of the jury, and then my issue is preserved for the record?
So the court thinks the voir dire is just as short as the court made it. This can show 30 substances, correct?
But he hasn't answered it.
Well, no, I'm not asking. But that's as far as the court can ask that while the jury is here. If the court is unclear.
Well, I don't even know if he was present when these pictures were taken, whether he saw it.
Well, I think that because counsel knows the case, it may be that counsel is assuming that the jury is going to draw certain conclusions, not based on what's coming in now, but based on what counsel knows about the case. If this is shown to the jury, just this photo, with some testimony as to this is what the luminol test showed, the court can see no unfair prejudice in that, and cross-examination that this isn't conclusive.
Well, more to the point, Your Honor, I would submit that this witness
Yeah, let me unmute myself.
doesn't have the proper
Thanks.
background or authentication or experience to testify that what it shows other than it's a glowing purple image in the dark. You would need someone with scientific background to explain what the luminol is and what it shows, not a hearsay statement by a detective.
He has a good point.
What the court can envision.
He has a really good point there.
This is, I sprayed this section colloquially with luminol, and that's what happened. Now, where that testimony goes from there will have to be heard. I think the objections would have to come after that. But
Well,
just to say this is the result that we saw is not prejudicial, unfair. What does it mean? That's the next question. What does it mean?
Well, is the court going to preclude that next question or wait for an objection on that? That's why we're doing this outside the presence of the jury.
Well, it depends on what the state is going to try to get in. The court indicated what the question, the threshold question would be. And then the court has to see where it goes from there.
May I make a suggestion with respect to moving out those photographs, Your Honor? I think a lot of their, for their foundation, it is in file 14 out of 15 for a reason. As Your Honor can see through the many, many photographs that the state intends to introduce, that there will be a lot of testimony concerning what was found in the garage, as well as Detective Riley's reasoning and his training experience and his determination. I'm not simply going to put the photograph up and have it conveyed for what it is. There will be a foundation for it. Perhaps we should wait until that time is at hand, I guess, for that determination. And what I will do is just mark before those pictures come up, and we can do an offer of proof outside the presence of the jury with Detective Riley on the stand.
Okay, the court would prefer not to have the jury keep going out this afternoon. So if we can go back to the other 12 and 13. So that's where we are at this point.
Yes, Your Honor. And actually, can I? Your Honor, just for the record, if I can also, this is on a side note, apparently even though the TV is off and it is something not being streamed, I know that this is something that is live streamed, the ID issues that are seen on the camera feed are still being shown. So the whole point is the jury doesn't see it off of the screen. However, it is being still live.
Yes, Moonfox.
So
absolutely, yes.
To discover during the break, but I want to make it very clear that the screen.
I have no idea why there was no opening statements on this case.
That the camera or the video camera on the side is off as well. This before we put up is now back on the screen is 12 and 13. I will leave the video in front of Detective Riley down until Your Honor indicates I can.
Poor jury, they can't do what we're doing researching.
From Attorney Schoenholm essentially was those marks on those measuring devices. Detective Riley did not see at the time he was at the property on either the 25th or the 27th.
That's not my memory, Your Honor. My memory, and perhaps Detective Riley can indicate, is that he does not recall seeing those two marks.
Correct. And that's the last line that the court heard.
Correct, and that
I like
therefore this witness cannot testify that that image fairly and accurately represents what is in the image at the time he was present. That's my argument.
And the state's offer, Your Honor, is with respect to the what's at issue is the markings on the garage floor. A small mark contained on the measuring document that either Detective Riley or one of the other officers actually put down there does not make the document move at this point.
The court's view is that the measuring, we call them devices, are what they purport to be in the photograph. The conclusion the jury draws about how those stains arrived on those measuring devices is going to be up to the jury. Bring the jury back in.
so, just bring in the jury. I don't understand the tactic of no opening statement with the jury. You know, I'm just going to show this.
Council stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yeah, I like his demeanor.
Your Honor. When we left, counsel was still on board here.
I've finished my voir dire, so I'll just note that my objection is that this witness cannot state that these two images, and I'll note, I make the same claim with regard to number 14 in this package, fairly and accurately represents what he observed that day. So I'll just rely on
We
my
make
objection.
sure the day we're talking about is clear. Is this the 25th or the 27th?
May I inquire, Your Honor, just to.
I have a good friend who's also trying to piece this
Sir, do you
together.
recall what
He
day
was a
those
big
photographs
part
were
was back
taken?
in college.
Yes, these were taken on the
They're on
27th.
here.
The objection is overruled. If this states 9 file 6,
Yes, sir.
states 9 file 6 will be admitted as full.
Thank you. May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
I can. Again, states 9A. Sir, if you could take a look at what's been marked as file 7, garage B. You could take a few minutes and take a look at those photographs. Do you recognize what's depicted on those pages, please?
Yes, I do.
What is depicted on those?
They are photographs of the garage floor as we were processing it and some of the items of evidence that we observed and collected.
And as you were processing, what day?
This would have been on the 27th.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately portray what those items looked like on May 27, 2019?
Yes.
The state would offer, Your Honor, there's also a PDF, but that has already been admitted.
The witness
I just want to
is.
clarify now, with this folder marked
No,
number
it's
7, garage B,
right.
does this folder, are all the images in there, as you recall it, that it fairly and accurately represents what you saw on that date of May
Hold on.
27th?
Yes.
Figures.
I have no objection to this folder, Your Honor.
Thank you. States 9 file 7 admitted as full.
Thank you. Actually, to show you states 9.
Who's on the stand is Matthew Riley. He's a retired Connecticut State Police Sergeant. So that is who is on stand.
The screen in front of him is up. If you can also take a look at that screen when you have a moment, sir. Do you recognize the items depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
What are they?
Again, it's the garage of the residence and some of the stains.
A retired sergeant
found
on the
garage
police
floor
department.
And on the photograph depicted on the screen is something we found on the interior face of one of the garage doors.
And what day are we talking about?
This would be on the 27th as well.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately portray what you indicated they are?
Yes.
The state would offer it?
Make the same inquiry, may I, Your Honor?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the same question just so that I be consistent. You look at the images in this subfolder on this disk, number 8. You look at all the images, including the one that's on the screen because it didn't print.
I'm not sure.
It's a PDF or it's an NEF. which I don't even know what that is, but do all of these images, including the one on the screen, fairly and accurately represent what you saw that evening, including whatever measuring devices are depicted in it?
Yes.
I have no objection to this folder.
States 9, file 8, admitted as full.
Thank you. Sir, if I may? States 9, file 9, labeled garage D. So if you could take a few moments to look at that document.
And could you bring up photograph 10, please?
Photograph 10.
Yeah, 371.
Thank you.
Next one, please.
Thank you. Do you recognize what's depicted on that
Yes.
screen in front of you? And for the record, again, the screen behind you is blank or dark.
Yes. Again, this is the garage floor at 69 Wells and some of the exhibits that we found and staining that we found on the floor.
Now, with respect to these images, were they taken on different days or the same day? Do you recall?
Well, I know that 371 was taken on the 25th.
And 371, are you indicating that's the one right in front of you?
Correct.
10-371?
Yes.
Okay. And the others?
The others appear to be taken on the 27th.
Okay. On each of the images that are portrayed on that document, sir, do each of them fairly and accurately depict what you saw on both the 25th and then 27th for the image in front of you?
Yes.
So you would offer it?
May I, Wadir? Could you just explain to me, you're saying that the particular image marked 10-371 was taken on a different day than the others that are in this image? And this subfolder, I mean?
Yes.
And what is it about that particular image that you realize was taken on a different day?
I recognize the exhibit, sir, and I know that I seized that exhibit on the 25th.
When you say exhibit, just because it's not shown yet, you're talking about somebody wrote the word exhibit number and a number on it, right?
Correct.
That's in the actual photograph.
Yes.
And there seems to be some kind of green material to the left. Do you recall seeing that when you were there on the 25th?
Yes.
And there seems to maybe be some curly thing that might be a piece of hair just above where the little measuring device is. Do you recall seeing that?
Yes.
And you were present for the other images as well on the 27th? The rest of the ones in the subfolder marked 9?
Yes.
And they look exactly the way, or that you recall them appearing, that the image appeared that's shown in these photographs, correct?
At some point during the processing, yes.
While you were present, though?
While I was present.
All right, no objection to these images.
States 9, file 9, admitted as full.
Thank you. If I may approach again. Thank you, sir. States 9, file 10, labeled garage E. Can you take a few moments, please, and review that document?
Can I see 3-186 on the screen, please?
And just for the record, the screen behind you is blank. The one in front of you should show that image.
Yes, I recognize.
And with respect to each of the images contained on the document in front of you, sir, do you recognize each of those images?
Yes.
From what day?
These were from the 27th.
And were you present for these, when these images were on the 27th for these images?
Yes.
Okay, in each of these, do they fairly and accurately portray what you saw that day?
Yes.
State would offer.
May I inquire? Can you look at the image marked 4-187 in this subfolder? I'm going to ask you to indicate to me whether or not the stain or mark that's on the measuring device, it appears to be the same color as the other spots, was on the measuring device when you were there on May, you said the 25th or the 27th for these pictures?
These were on the 27th.
Okay, so do you recall whether or not that stain drop was there when you, that's depicted in that specific image 4-187?
It doesn't look like a stain drop. It looks like some plant material.
Well, it's no, I'm talking about on top of the measuring device. You looking at the same picture?
Yes.
4-187, there's a number 55 in the picture, right? So I'm talking
No, I
about
think
the
they meant it.
right-hand smaller measuring
Thank you,
device.
Moon
Yes.
Fox. I think
You see right in the middle of it, there, near the
I did
middle, there's
research
a
on this weekend
there's
too.
a
Maybe we
stain
can
of
compare
some
notes.
sort.
With them not
I
having
think
an
that looks
opening,
like
it's
a
really
plant
hard
material, sir.
to follow.
Oh, do you know whether it was there at the time? I'm just asking.
Yes, there were plant material there on the floor at the time this photo was taken.
And right on top of the measuring device, you're saying it fairly accurately represents, you recall it being there?
On top of the measuring device?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically.
All right, so I'm going to make that same objection with regard to this particular image, but the rest of them, I just want to be sure the others fairly and accurately represent the way you recall the scene that's depicted in these images on that date, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm only objection to the one image, Your Honor.
Objection is overruled. States 9, file 10, admitted as full.
Thank you. If I may.
Yeah, mystery stain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. It's a mystery stain. Yeah.
States 9, sir, file 11, garage F. Please take a moment and go to the
Science. Okay, my guess is my guess. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. This is really hard for me to concentrate. I don't know why. Yeah, welcome all. Free coffee
Yes, I
for
do.
all.
What are they?
These are
All
various
right, anybody
stains
want to dab into
found
this?
on the garage
Is he the
floor
one
of
who
69 Wells.
swab?
What day?
I think
These
so.
were, they appear to be taken on the 27th.
And do each, in looking at each of those photographs, do they fairly
the
and
mysteries.
accurately
Thank
portray
you,
what you
oh,
saw the
Space.
garage
You're such a great host
saw
of
that day
this.
on the 27th in May 2019?
Yes.
They would offer it.
If I just could have one moment, Your Honor.
The court cannot see that ID.
Your Honor, it's actually, may I have a moment?
The defense really does not want this evidence in. He fought a good fight, though.
Well, first, the court will hear what the objection is after.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let me just ask you the same question. In this group that's in folder 10, garage E, do these all represent fairly and accurately what you yourself saw when you were there on that date?
Yes.
I'm not going to object to these.
Case 9, file 11, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Admitted as full.
Thank you. Riley, from me. Sorry, Riley. Case 9, file 12, labeled Garage G. Sir, if you could please take a look at that document. There will also be another photograph depicted on screen in front of you. Take a look at that. And just
I am. Look, I got 2 layers of sweater. I got a real thick sweater and I got another thick sweater. Thank you. I know. It's hard to concentrate when this weather is so weird. You know, it's just, this was just on a whim, you guys. I would have had a lot more information, you know I would. But it's just, but thank you, Mommy. That's sweet.
And could I see 196, please?
Is also, I believe that would be 1.
Yes. I have the correct one on the screen. Thank you.
So are you finished reviewing all those photographs?
Yes.
I'll be right back.
Photographs depicted both on the screen in front of you as well as the document in front of you.
Yes.
Do you recall on what day that these photographs were taken?
These were taken on, again, on the 27th.
And were you present when they were taken?
Yes.
And looking at each of the images on the document in front of you as well as the screen in front of you, do they fairly, well, I should ask this first. What are those images of?
These are, the photos depict an item of evidence that we found on the garage floor, as well as staining. And some of the processing methods that were used.
And do these photographs fairly and accurately represent those items as you saw them on the day in May 27, 2019?
Yes.
They would offer them.
Well, dear.
I'm just going to ask you about the same question, but I'm going to ask about a specific image in here, just to be clear. You were present when all these items that are shown in these particular images were on the floor or on the car, correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you separately about 18, but all the rest of them, those fairly and accurately represent what you actually observed on May 27th, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to ask with regard to Exhibit 18, it's obviously not taken at the same time as the first image that's up on your screen, right?
Correct.
So were you present when somebody put these red strings down? Were you there for that?
I was there during that process, yes.
Were you there when this picture was taken, which shows the process being completed?
Yes, I saw the completed product.
You did see that?
Yes.
All right. I don't object to these things, Judge.
Case 9, file 12, admitted as full.
Thank you, sir. States 9, file 13, labeled garbage cans. Please take a look at that document. Do you recognize those photographs, sir?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are photographs of garbage cans that were found in the A corner of the garage.
And I'm taking a look at all the images on that page, sir. Do you recall what day these photographs were taken?
It appears that 1, 2, 3, and 5 were most likely taken on the 25th, and 4 was taken on the 27th.
Now, with respect to taking each of those images in and of itself, because they're 5 images. Do they fairly and accurately represent what the garbage cans look like on 525 and or 527?
Yes.
And the state would offer them, Your Honor.
I want to clarify the disjunctive and or. So did they all look like that you observed on the 25th of May? In all these images, whether one was taken on a different day or not?
Without regard to the scale that are depicted, yes, that's the way the garbage cans look.
And the difference is on the 27th, somebody put the little scale stickers that's from the evidence van.
Oh, that is cute. I used to live in New York, by the way.
Somebody actually wrote on that.
Another life.
Can I see photo 4, please?
Long, long time ago. In my rolling 20s. So if I say it's coffee, talks, it sounds like I'm saying coffee talks.
Yes.
If I say
that photo there was definitely taken on the 27th.
We're chatting.
So if they have a measuring thing and then there's somebody hand wrote something on it, that would, if it was handwritten on it, it's the 27th. If it's blank, it's maybe the 25th or the 27th.
That's right, we're in Iowa.
Just for this specific
That's how we talk.
Item.
That's how we chat.
Yes.
Okay. And just so that I'm clear, as far as the garbage pail is concerned, do you know if they were in these exact positions when you were there, or were they moved?
In the first photograph is how they appeared as we found them. And then during
I'm sorry, I had to see my hubby. He just got out of the terrible scene of the snow with the snow blower.
Okay, so relatively in the same position.
Correct.
No objection.
States 9, file 13, admitted as 12.
States 9, file 14, labeled Chevy Suburban. Sir, if you can please take a look at that document.
Okay.
Do you recognize, well, let me start with this. Photographs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Do you recall, or do you know when those photographs were taken?
Yes.
When were they taken?
These were taken on the 28th of May, 2019.
And where, what are they depictions of?
They are depictions of the Chevy Suburban from seized from Clapham Road in New Canaan. And these photographs were taken during processing of that vehicle at the New Canaan Police Department.
Were you present for the processing of the vehicle?
Yes.
And were you present during, to see all of the items depicted in these photographs?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to items 1 through 16, do those photographs fairly and accurately depict what they are portrayed in the images to be?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26, were those taken on a different day?
I see photograph 22, please.
It's snowing again in Iowa here. My husband just got back and said it's snowing again.
24 as well, please.
This whole thing is
For the
odd.
record, the screen behind you is blank and you were all turning.
Photographs 17 through 21 were taken on June 26th at Troop G Bridgeport.
And were you present on June 21st? Was that the day? I'm sorry.
I believe it was 26th.
26th. Were you present on June 26th?
Yes.
Were you present for these photographs?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately portray what they are depicted?
Yes.
What are they?
These are items or conditions that we found on the underside of that Chevy Suburban.
Oh, where are you from?
He's on Lapham Road.
Moon Fox?
And that was with respect to,
Moon Fox.
sorry, 18, 19,
Fox
20, and 21?
Studios.
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately portray, just to be clear, up to 21?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26, do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
What are they?
These are photographs of latent prints taken from the exterior of that Chevy Suburban. These were taken on the 28th of May, 2019, at the New Canaan Police Department.
Were you present when these photographs were taken?
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the
Canada?
say latent prints?
Yes.
TA?
That
Canada?
were on the vehicle that day?
Yes.
State would offer 9, file 14 in its entirety.
Flow 20. We have a heat wave
I'm
here.
going to just separate out for the moment numbers 14, 15, and 16 for the moment. I'm just going to ask you about the rest of them in total. With regard to all of those images, 1 through
Oh, he is really fighting this.
13, and then 17
Okay, I'm
through
sorry. I'm not very good with geography.
26, were you present in the location where they're shown?
Thank you.
So that you
We're
could
coming
say
here all the way
that
from Canada.
what's being depicted in there, including fingerprints, you saw exactly what's in
The
these.
small.
Is that correct? And on the day that it was taken,
Yeah.
you were there, you saw it, right?
Yes.
I know. Never mind.
So let me just ask you, there are 3 images that that there's images of, but on the paper copy, they basically look black, okay? So my question is, these were taken
In the
at
Rockies.
night, or were they taken in the dark?
I bet it's
It
beautiful.
was done.
Yes.
You were in the room when they turned off the light,
Yes.
and you watched them take the pictures?
Yes.
Those particular images were illuminated with a black light, is that correct?
No.
They were illuminated using a chemical, correct?
Yes.
And the photographs you were taken without a flash for those 3 images, correct?
Correct.
I just have a moment. This was an issue that did arise before. I'm going to raise my objection, and depending, in any event, I'm going to ask the court to give limiting instruction regarding, but I don't object to 1 through 13 and 17 through.
Does he seem a little arrogant to any of you?
Subfolder 14.
I liked him at first, but now he's kind of growing on the other side of the fence with me.
So
Seems
what
a little arrogant. What do you guys
right
think?
now is just
The defense
approve
lawyer.
Photos 14 through 16 and admit pending argument and admit as full 1 through 13, 17 through the balance. That's full.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one who thinks it. I mean, like you guys were saying before, he acts like he knows all these photos,
Your
right?
Honor, just for the record, the state would be attempting to introduce those throughout the course of the testimony at a later point to hear once a foundation has been made. This is just to expedite the process of entering all photographs, if I may. May I continue with the last folder? Thank you. Sir, states 9.
Yeah, he's beginning to irritate me a lot too. He didn't at first. I thought he was a good attorney, but I was like, oh gosh, this guy is just irritating me. It's his job, I guess, to irritate people.
Yes, can I see photo 13, please?
All right, it's 4 o'clock in Connecticut. Hey, what time is it in Canada?
Sir, do you see the
It's
photo
fun talking to
on the
somebody.
screen in front of you?
Yes.
Oh.
And photo 8, please.
Us too.
Okay, recognize these.
Oh.
Sir, with respect to photos, one, well, let me just ask you, are all those photos?
I do too feel like we're missing something. Even when I read about it, I research about it, it's just there. I mean, why is she on trial? Yeah, she was baiting the husband. I love that. But that doesn't mean she asked her out. Yeah. Just because you have sex with somebody else's husband doesn't mean you're a murderer.
3 through
You're immoral.
3 through 13 were taken on the 27th.
Yeah.
3 through 13,
I think we all agree with that.
we're taking on the 27th.
I mean, good statement.
At 69.
Painting the husband.
With
Love it.
respect to 1 and 2.
I love you
Do
guys.
you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And what is depicted in those
You know,
photographs?
to the deed to another husband doesn't mean you're
And anything else inside of it?
gonna whack the hell
That's
wife.
a Range Rover that was found parked in the center bay.
I don't know.
With respect to 1 and 2, when you were present at 69 Wells on May
We could do all the research until the cows come home.
What is depicted?
But are we really gonna find the cause root of all her arrests? Of her arrest? Can we?
Yes, it does.
And with respect to 3 through 13, were you present?
Yeah, they do have proof of that.
Do they fairly and
But do they have
accurately
proof that it was actually the body?
are depicted to be?
Yes.
Now,
Do they know they were really body parts?
do you recall those?
Yes, these were photographs taken of the Range Rover during additional processing on June 26th at Troop G Bridgeport.
Were you present for that additional processing?
Yes,
And you
God, I'm so
recognize,
sick.
These photographs and what's depicted in them?
I do.
And do they fairly and accurately depict what you indicated they are to be?
Yes.
State would offer file 15, states 9.
And voir dire.
Oh,
Remember
that's
the
right, Mom.
question
You
I
don't
asked
know
like
that.
15 times now?
Oh,
Yes, I do.
Is it the answer is the same
I don't
for all these pictures?
think,
Yes.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole story of all the things that
States
we
9,
found out.
file 15, admitted as full.
Yes, husband's. Oh, well, let me fill you in, girlfriend. Husband is dead. He committed suicide. Or revenge.
Sergeant Briley, I want to talk about May 25th, okay? The night of May 24th into May 25th, 2019. You indicated you arrived at 69 Wells at about 2 o'clock in the morning?
Approximately, ma'am, yes.
Okay. What did you do when you first arrived?
When I first arrived on scene, I parked the van in the cul-de-sac. We took a walk up the driveway to basically clear it of any items of evidentiary value. And then we parked the van in the driveway and awaited a search warrant.
Did you write a search warrant?
I did not.
Just for clarity, what is a search warrant?
Search warrant is authorizations signed by a judge that authorizes police officers to enter and search a premises or person.
Was a search warrant obtained for 69 Wells that night, or that morning, I should say?
Yes,
Did you review that?
I did.
At what time did you review that search warrant?
I would say approximately 4 o'clock in the morning.
And I believe what was your assignment again for 69 Wells that day?
Evidence collection.
If I can, sir, I'm gonna draw your attention to states 9, to the screen behind you, which is not on. Thank you. States 9, file 1. If you could take a look behind you, sir. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I did.
When you arrived that night, what did you recognize that to be, by the way?
That's the scene at 69 Wells.
And when you say you went up the driveway and parked the van, can you show where you went? If you wouldn't mind standing up, sir. Your Honor, is it okay if you, thank you.
Okay, I forgot how they know they were human bodies. There were pieces they were dumping, probably because they were on surveillance, suspicious, and somebody was looking into that. Gross. Dumpster dive for body parts.
It may have been left
Oh,
in the overall.
God.
Okay, and picture 2 of that same file, sir. Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
Uh,
That is the,
I think,
the exterior of the garage.
because he is testifying.
and
Hi.
is this what the exterior of the garage looks like?
You're
being
close with that landlord.
525?
John taught us that.
Okay. Is this well, if I can. And then this photograph, sir?
That is a photo of the back of the house. It's 69 Wells.
Now, I believe you testified a little bit ago about taking swabs off of doors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are there, where you took the swabs that day, is that depicted in those photographs?
Some of the points of entry, yes.
Could you please point those out?
Yes. Here, the mudroom door, and here these French patio doors.
Okay, and just for the record, that's the middle part of the photograph?
Yes.
Okay. What about picture 4?
As a photo of the side of the house. I believe that's the east side of the house.
And in about the middle, I guess lower, is that a door as well?
Yes.
Did you swab that
Keep
door?
spacing.
I did.
And when I say swab it, did you utilize that same process that you spoke about earlier?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Now, were you wearing gloves when you conducted each of those swabs?
Yes.
Do you change your gloves?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because we're looking for minute quantities of biologic material, and and we didn't want to contaminate it with foreign biological material.
How often would you change your gloves?
When conducting these DNA swabs, after every sample.
So every time you swabbed a item, you would change your gloves?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any other protective gear on?
I was wearing a face mask.
And I'm actually going to go back to the first photograph, sir. And if I can just zoom in a little bit on that. Is there a area that you swabbed on the front of the house depicted in that photograph?
Yes, the front door.
Okay. And did you change your gloves for that as well?
Back.
Thank you. You can have a seat.
Oh, this is a huge house, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, where was all the blood? Was it, I think it was like in the garage,
on that day in
maybe in the kitchen?
on May 25th, 2019, you were the evidence officer, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, can you again just explain what that means?
Yeah, that was.
So it was my responsibility to identify items that we were
house.
going to seize and
Living
ensure that they were
probably above,
documented properly.
perhaps.
Any kind of measurement that needed to be taken was taken. Any kind of field testing I would conduct, and then I would be responsible for the collection, the packaging, the labeling,
Okay.
and the reporting.
Is there a particular area of the house that on May 25th, 2019
Yeah,
started with?
I think the murders were in the garage and in the kitchen. I don't think it went any
Actually,
further than that.
If I can just show you.
I
Sure.
might be
Would you
wrong,
go to the photograph?
but that's my
We'll start with
educational guess,
this.
is what I'm saying.
Dates 9,
Guesses
file
are not facts.
2, I believe, picture 1. Did you enter the garage
Yeah.
on May 25th, 2019?
Exactly.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I agree.
Was the garage door open when you arrived? As
Yes.
it is in that
It was
photograph?
open when he arrived.
When we arrived, that center bay door was open.
Were there officers on scene when you arrived?
Yes.
And were there officers inside the garage when you arrived?
I don't believe so.
But the door was open?
Very
Door was
gorgeous. Yeah, he was good looking.
Now,
I had to give him that. You know,
as
he
you
was a boss,
entered the
right?
garage,
Yeah.
did you, where did you go or what did you do?
Stacy,
So,
want to see a picture? It's on,
so once we
post
obtained a search
that I was talking
warrant,
about
we began our
yesterday.
walkthrough. And I entered the garage, entered the rest of the home through the door at the front.
Well, that's a
of the
good
building,
question, Jennifer. I mean,
And went
Bobby.
and opened the front door to allow additional members of the team in.
the husband owned
Do you recognize what's depicted in
his
that photograph,
in-laws over.
Yes,
You-
that is the right side of the garage.
sir? And is that how you
Okay,
saw it?
great.
that day?
Thank you.
Yes.
And further, that was states 2, picture 2, this is picture 3. And what does that photograph depict?
That's again, a photograph of the right side of the garage.
And picture 4
Yeah, go look.
The left side of the garage.
and picture 5.
Evil, good looking.
The center of the garage, taken from one of the corners.
Evil, good looking.
Looking at the door that would lead into the mudroom and kitchen of the first floor.
Is that the door that you entered the house?
I'm guessing Jennifer's money.
That I initially did, yes.
Was it locked?
I don't think so, ma'am.
I'm going to show you file or picture 6. What does that photograph depict?
That is a photograph of the that door to the mudroom. This is what I call the exterior side, or the garage side of the door. And on that doorknob, we found a visible fingerprint, or what appeared to us to be a visible fingerprint. And that's why you see the scale, the mark up there.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions of that, but before I do, what information had you been given prior to, As the evidence officer, it was your job to determine what, if anything, would be found for evidentiary value and seized. Is that correct?
Yes, as other members of the team, if they saw something, they would bring it to my attention, and then I would decide whether or not we were going to seize it.
So at this point, when you entered the house as the evidence officer, what information had you have that allowed you to make these decisions?
Objection, hearsay, and vague.
Well, the evidence so far, as the court understood the evidence, is that he read the warrant affidavit.
Yes, sir.
Overruled.
So if that is the objection, if the testimony goes beyond that, the court can hear another objection. But if the answer is he read the warrant affidavit,
I'm not going to object to that.
My next question, Your Honor, is what is the information that contained in that warrant affidavit that helped you or guided you in making your decisions?
So I'm going to object on hearsay and relevance ground. You got a warrant, so we took his actions.
the objection is sustained.
Mm.
Um,
Look at the way he bounces into his chair.
If I can, Your Honor. Sir, why were you there at 69 Wells that day?
The objection asked and answered.
Well, at this point, it becomes preliminary. He was involved in a missing persons investigation. That's preliminary. It's already been established.
I love this judge's
I'm
knowledge.
going to draw your attention to the photograph right behind you, sir. Photograph 6 on, I believe, file 2. Now I'm going to scroll in if I can. Do you see that marking or that measurement?
Yes.
What is it?
That is how I would designate what was going to be seized. I would, assign it, our version of the exhibit, we call it an exhibit, that's the EX. We'll give it a sequential number for identification purposes, and we'll either write it on some sort of label or we'll drop one of those, plastic tents or placards with a number on it to denote it.
And so why did you give this number a designation of Exhibit 12?
Because on this side, it was pretty clearly visible a fingerprint. And then on the reverse side of it, we saw what possibly looked like some blood-like stains. So, given what we had seen in the garage during our walkthrough, we found that this was probably a pretty valuable piece of evidence.
A couple questions. Can you see, you indicated a fingerprint was visible?
Yes.
Was that after any kind of reagent or testing was done on it or before?
No, it was clearly visible to the naked eye.
Could you see it on that photograph behind you, please? If you could take a look.
Not very well. I can't see any rich detail.
On the photograph? Okay. And with respect to the Exhibit 12, what exactly is that in reference to? I guess that's not a good question, but is the Exhibit 12 the fingerprint, or is it the doorknob, or is it the door that it's on?
Well, this is, it was my intent to seize the entire doorknob. So Exhibit 12 represents the doorknob.
Okay. Did you seize the entire doorknob?
Yes.
Well, the question the court has, counsel, does that include the plate behind the doorknob?
Yes, Your Honor.
If I can. Oh, I do. There. Picture 7. What does that depict, sir?
That is the doorknob after I had fumed it with super glue, cyanoacrylate. And this was taken in the van prior to final packaging.
Okay, if you could walk me through, please, pretty much everything you said. How did you seize it? We'll start with that.
So, again, I donned new gloves, wore a face mask, and very carefully unscrewed it from the door without trying to disrupt either the fingerprint or any of the apparent stains on the interior side of it. Prior to doing this, I had set up a small fuming tent on the van. And this is a small device that we use. We secure the doorknob inside that fuming tent. Once I removed it, we put a small hot plate with a small amount of super glue or crazy glue on that hot plate. It creates fumes inside the plastic tent, and the fumes polymerize or kind of cement that print in place. So there's no chance of it being destroyed inside of the box that I eventually secured. So it can get to the lab in one piece, and the lab can examine it.
How long did it stay in the super glue tent?
Usually I'll set a timer for 10 or 12 minutes, and I'll just start checking it. It really depends on the item itself, the humidity. I keep a close eye on it because, like fingerprint dust, if you overfume it, you'll destroy the print.
And how do you package it after the fuming is done?
So after this was done, I secured it in a cardboard box with zip ties.
Was it given any kind of evidence number?
Yes, we designated it as State Police Exhibit 12.
Now, with respect to State Police Exhibit 12, is there also a number that is given to the exhibits to delineate it in association with the case you're there for? Well, if I could rephrase that, is there an incident number or an evidence number that's associated with this investigation?
Yes, there is, and that's where a little confusion comes in. So we have a state police case number that we worked under. Initially, this was going to be simply an assist to New Canaan. All of our numbers, all of our exhibits are just numbered sequentially from 1 to whatever in order. Those are our numbers. That's for our documentation purposes. The intent was to turn these over, all of our exhibits over to the New Canaan Police Department. And usually the local police departments will put their own evidence labels on it, which could have a different number. Again, it's just a tracking number for the individual departments. Then once it gets to the laboratory will sign it, yet another number. So.
Now, you mentioned that this was originally an assist to New Canaan. What does that mean?
So again, New Canaan asked the state police for assistance in this missing person investigation. We do that on occasion. So we will usually we'll provide crime scene services to the local police department, at the conclusion of which we will turn over all the evidence, our photographs, all of our reports, so the local police department can continue on with their case. Sometimes they will ask for additional detectives, which we will supply. Basically, we do as much or as little as the local department asks.
Now, by the way, with respect to photograph 7 behind you, do you see the fingerprint that you were mentioning on this? If you can stand up, please, and go towards the screen. Here,
you can see it here, this it's not a very clear picture, but that's the area.
Okay.
So this smallish area is
Thank you, sir. And just to clarify, this is picture 8 and picture 9. Can you see that photograph or the fingerprint on that photograph?
Yes.
If you could just point it out for the record.
So the application with side light, see the flash here, it'll really bring up the rich detail on the fingerprint.
And do you point it to the middle of the screen?
Yes, sir.
And you said a side light.
The side light is right here.
Do you utilize that in photographing fingerprints?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat, sir. Now, did you enter the kitchen at all?
Yes, I did.
And how do you get to the kitchen from the garage?
So from the garage, you will go through that mudroom door that I removed the doorknob from. You will enter a small mudroom that has some like cubbies and coat hooks, and then you will enter a kitchen.
Is that the mudroom that you were mentioning?
Yes. So you see on the left-hand side of the photograph, that's the mudroom door.
And what is that? This is states, I guess, picture 2. Is
Yes,
that
that's-
also the mudroom?
Correct.
Now, the door at the end of that in the picture, I guess that's in the middle of the picture. Where does that lead to?
I believe that leads to the backyard.
Is that a door that you had swabbed for the handles that you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
And picture 3?
Picture 3 is a photo of the kitchen. You'll see the
Oh, I'll go back to
you
3.
see the center island, and in that far corner, that's the doorway into the mudroom.
And picture 4?
Again, a photograph of the kitchen. The mudroom doorway is to the right, right adjacent to that purse on the floor.
Speaking about the purse on the floor in the bottom right, did you take any action with respect to that purse?
Yes, we did. Somewhere during processing, we examined the purse for any items of evidentiary value. We laid everything out on the dining room table that was in it, photographed it, documented it, and I believe we seized it, not on the warrant, but for safekeeping, and turned that over to New Canaan.
Did you, with respect to picture 5, is this what you were talking about? Does it depict the contents of the purse?
Yes.
Did you do that?
I assisted with that, yes.
And picture 6?
Again, just another view of the purse contents.
Now, with respect to picture 7, do you see on the bottom right, there is a number 13. Do you see where I'm speaking, sir? About?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is that?
That is a paper towel roll that we examined, and we found what appeared to be blood stains on it.
Now, did you put the 13 down?
I did.
Okay. For purposes, what is that called?
We call them evidence placards. Different departments call them different things. But again, it's just a number to designate the state police of a number that we're going to document under.
And item 13, is that the paper towel rolls right next to it?
Yes.
Is this how the paper towel rolls were found?
That's
off of
how-
the holder or on the holder?
It was off the holder.
And I'm actually going to show you states 9. Actually, I'll go back. I'm sorry. States picture 8. Upon looking at that, I guess item 13, the paper towel holder or paper towels, you indicated there was a blood-like stain.
This is the article that I found information
Where was
on
that?
space.
It was
Exactly
on the-
that.
upper part and on the inside cardboard tube?
The title of the
I found
article
that.
I did.
that I found. I'm listening to this kind of, and also I'm trying
States,
to
photograph
fill in blanks
9.
again.
I'm gonna zoom in a little
It-
bit.
toilet paper. Oh no, that's. But anyway, yeah,
Can you explain
there.
what that shows, sir?
Yeah,
So
Alibi.
this is the area of the apparent
pocket
blood
thickens.
that we found on the paper towel roll.
So the plot thickens. As we-
And what did you do once you observed it?
I field tested it.
What does that mean?
So we have a presumptive field test that we utilize in the major crime squad. It screens for the presence
I'm
of
going to
blood.
object to this testimony. This witness is not qualified to testify to this.
So the issue of the presumptive test is going to require essentially argument outside of the presence of the jury. It is 425. What the court is inclined to do is dismiss the jury for today. We can take up the argument on the
If I can, Your Honor,
presumptive test.
yes, Your Honor, I would just indicate I am not done with my foundation questions with him. I don't know if that will influence the court's decisions with respect to any ruling.
Well, the testimony was about to be, this is a test that we conduct in order to. And Attorney Schoenhorn stood up and rightly indicated, this is the subject of a matter that should be taken up outside of the presence of the jury. The foundational question is leading, not inappropriately, leading this witness to talk about what that test is and what it's supposed to show.
That's fine.
So the testimony that he administered a test stands, but that's as far as it goes.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what the court is going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is dismiss you for today.
Oh, going to be dismissing for the day.
The
Good.
holiday is on Monday.
Ah,
We do not know what the weather report will be for Tuesday. But as of right now, we would ask that you report, well, in fact, check the judicial branch website for information about whether or not juries are going to be brought in on Tuesday. That information will be on the judicial branch website. If we are in session, we will resume on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. We ask that you, again, not discuss the case, not follow any media reports about the case. Thank you and have a safe weekend.
I'm sorry, what time did he say? Well, there we have it. Day 2 over. So she says that she did not know what he was dumping in the dumpsters.
It appears to the court.
Oh, thank you, Moon Fox. I'm
Appears
glad
to
you
the
came
court
by
that the
too.
easiest way
Yeah, it was fun. And
to determine
I appreciate all your
admissibility of the
little
evidence
bits of information
is to hear
right
the offer of proof
out of
from this
this messy club.
May I question him, Your
All
Honor?
right.
Thank you. Sergeant Riley, with respect to you said a field test. What do you mean by field test?
So it's a screening test we use for the presence of blood. It's called the Castlemeyer test. It consists of 2 reagents,
Oh, you bet.
a
My
phenolphthalein
pleasure.
and then a hydrogen
Done.
peroxide. When you combine these 2 chemicals together, 9 times out of 10 on a swab, and
I
wait a
understand
couple
what
of
he,
minutes,
uh,
it's going to change to a bright pink color. That's part of the chemical reaction.
well, yeah, she had no idea what's
If,
going on, but here's my alibi on
We
it.
combine those 2 chemicals onto a swab,
Yeah,
and we get an
But
immediate
here,
color change.
I
That's
have
a
no
positive
idea
indication for the
why I
presence
was
of
an
blood.
alibi. For
So the way we conduct the test
integration.
is we have a suspected stain that we think may be blood.
Type in that.
We'll collect a small amount of that
Somebody
stain
about this because it's
on
kind
the
of
swab.
important to follow the
Put a
case.
drop of the phenolphthalein solution on it. Wait a couple of seconds. See
This
if there's any color change. If there's not,
Troconis
we'll
accused of
put a drop of hydrogen peroxide
helping
on
to
that
cover
swab.
the killing of
And
genetic
if we
none
get
of
an
us
immediate color,
set to go. Okay, well, there's
bright pink color change.
if you type
that's
it in,
positive,
you'll find the article
positive
there. I got all the information. Sorry,
How many times have you
Talking over him.
conducted this
I just want to get that in.
test?
Thousands.
And are you trained in it?
Yes.
Can you please explain some of your
Yeah.
training?
My training is basically through the State Police Forensic Lab, where we obtain the special formulation of phenolphthalein solution. They provide us that reagent, and then we obtain the hydrogen peroxide and sterile water that we use as a solvent to actually collect the stain from a chemical supply house. So the training was through Forensic Lab in in-service program.
And when were you trained to do this?
Sometime in the early 2000s.
And is there any changes in the way that the testing has been done since the early 2000s?
No.
Okay, and is there any, do you continuously get that, the items and the, I guess the reagent, is that what is that issue or what causes the change?
A reagent is just a fancy name for a chemical.
So if they knew there were body parts, where are the body parts? Are
Yes, I
they
do.
Now,
examining
what
them
exactly is, if you can
somewhere?
just explain what the results of that mean?
So you kind of did find the body.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have to
gross.
step out. So if we get that immediate color change, it means that the chemical reaction has been sped up. So it means there's a catalyst present on that swab where we combine the chemicals. That catalyst that we're looking for is the hemoglobin component of blood.
And does that state whether or not, or tell you whether or not it is blood or what type of blood or anything in relation to that?
It's a positive screen for blood, so it leads us to believe it is blood. However, it won't screen human from any other blood that contains hemoglobin. So it won't differentiate between animal blood and human blood.
Does it test positive or change color in relation to anything besides that hemoglobin?
Yes, I mean, basically anything with a perioxidase ability to it. So certain foods, horseradish, turmeric come to mind. There could be some other items that would cause a false positive. However, we just use it as a screening test. If we, if it's a suspect stain, a substance we don't know, we'll still collect it.
Now, with respect to the item 13 behind you, just walk me through the steps that you conducted with that.
So I would take a swab moistened with sterile water, collect a small amount of that, reddish brown substance onto the swab. It's a very sensitive test. Again, put a drop of the phenolphthalein solution on it, wait a second or two, put another drop of the hydrogen peroxide on it.
He's talking in present.
Well, this
terms.
is an offer of proof.
Right, but I don't even know if he's talking about what he did here, which was the question.
I believe my question was, what did you do? And
After waiting a few seconds, I did put a drop of the hydrogen peroxide solution on it, obtain an immediate result, positive result, that bright pink color. I noted it as such. Then later, I packaged the roll of paper towel and noted the positive field test on the
Yeah. Evidently, that's what we all heard.
To the field test, Your Honor.
I have
I'm
no
also
idea.
assuming it would be with respect to,
weird.
can I just ask one follow-up question with respect to
No
other
wonder
items
John
that
won't
were
pop
field
on.
tested? Did you keep that day on May 27th or 25th, 2019?
Yeah.
Is it the same process that you just testified to?
Yes.
Nothing changes based on the substance or the item that you're testing?
No.
He made 30 stops
Oh,
to dump the body parts.
the court has a few concerns.
I wonder if we should go on Sunday night and just talk about this.
First is the
What?
phrase
30
positive
stops?
indication. Now, as the court understands the explanation, there can be a positive indication for other than hemoglobin.
And she had no idea
So
about what's going on.
Positive indication by itself.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
court is understanding the testimony to mean positive indication for blood. So just to say positive indication would be misleading. As the court understood the testimony, even radishes can render positive indication. Secondly, the court is concerned about the
Isn't this
false
romantic?
positive.
We're getting rid of body parts.
To be clear, the court understands that phrase to mean false positive for hemoglobin.
I don't know.
Otherwise, if there's the hydrogen peroxide applied,
Yeah.
and immediately
Right.
changes colors, that's not a false positive, that's just positive. Third concern the court has, and the court may have to think about this over a period of time.
It would have been
Third
faster.
concern the court has is this.
30 stops in one night. There's a lot of body parts.
Training undergone by the state police trains for blood only. Court does not understand the training to include all of the substances that could render a positive result. So if there are 40 substances that render a positive result, court's understanding is that the training doesn't include watching the change in color concerning 40 substances. The training is very limited, as the court understands, to hemoglobin. The court understands the testimony. This test can not differentiate between animal or human hemoglobin and will render a positive result for other than hemoglobin. The court is going to take its time, not render a decision today, but when we return, the court has to think this through. On certain matters, the court plays slow pitch. There's nothing else concerning the offer today, correct?
Your Honor, I can clear up some of those with the directions and the concern the court has on direct in the nature of the state's questions. I would just indicate that. But with respect to the offer, beyond addressing Your Honor's concerns.
He's a very thorough judge, isn't he? He just really I really like him.
Unlikely that we will forget where we left off when we reconvene on Tuesday.
He's one of these judges that don't give you a harsh judgment right away. He has to think about it.
The defense, Your Honor, as you recall yesterday, filed a motion to exclude certain DNA science, and they specifically requested a Porter hearing. Now, we did anticipate getting to some DNA evidence, not all of it, next week. And so my concern, Your Honor, is if the court is inclined to grant a Porter hearing, which of course we don't think you should, and we wrote extensively about that in our memorandum, that could, potentially eat up an entire day of evidence. And so I just want to get this motion on the books So that maybe we can get back to fast pitch.
Well, what the court cannot contemplate at this time, Attorney McGinnis, is a double header. So we'll leave that for next week.
And I'll just schedule, I just looked at my weather app for one of the Connecticut television stations, but I will not specify which one. It says watching a major winter storm for Tuesday. So what should we do and how should we find out before Tuesday whether we're going to proceed or not? Is there a way I can find out from Your Honor by email so that we're...
Well, what happens with the court is that over the judicial branch alert system, the judges do not have to consult the website. We would get an emergency alert. But the court thinks that that alert would have gone out to others who would alert jurors not to come in. So for other than court staff, it probably would be the website.
And if I could just inquire, other than this discrete issue, I assume the witness is excused for today. Other than this discrete issue, how much longer we'd like to at least plan for Tuesday, assuming we're going forward, how much longer we have a direct with this witness? I'm not going to have a lot of cross, and then at least we can find out who other witnesses are going to be on Tuesday.
Your Honor, we spent a good hour and a half authenticating the videos, so maybe not an hour and a half, but a good hour. Not the videos, the pictures. I am only beginning my direct at this point to go through all the photographs. I assume Detective Riley should be done by 1, maybe. I'm going to be positive and say we were hoping to. I know Detective Riley also is under subpoena in federal court for Tuesday, so we will try and. But I can't predict how long the direct is going to be.
I'm not going to argue a supremacy clause issue. As far as I'm concerned, this court is more important than whatever is going on.
Oh, I completely agree with counsel on that one. I just wanted to inform the court that I do know Detective Riley is very much wanted in multiple courts.
I love the way he sits on his chair. I'm waiting for him to rock over.
Let's just see how things develop for Tuesday. Thank you.
Is Monday a holiday?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
The jury has been excused. They've been told to pay attention to the judicial website for Tuesday. We'll stand.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
All rise.
Oh, yeah, we gotta honor him. He's a great guy. Buddy, hi. Okay, so here we are. I didn't catch the last part of when he told the jury to come back on Tuesday, but we don't know that yet. So we'll just kind of play that by ear. So free coffee in the chat room. Oh, you know, Spacey, you're so kind to give to people coffee when they come in. It's just the way we will welcome everyone, right? Well, yeah, it's getting old. First of all, when I saw the snow, it was so pretty, but I was like, oh God, it's still snowing. Oh, yes. So on Tuesday, if they're out, you want to read the article and go on. Yeah, okay, here's what we can do. If they are out on Tuesday, why don't we have a little group session where we would just kind of put the pieces together? How's that? We'll just do it as a group. Does that sound good? I'm going to remove this. So I'm thinking that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, and we can all come in and just put it together. Oh, okay. That sounds good. And yeah, whoever has something that they found, we'll all together, we'll just do a deep dive. We'll decipher it together. Yeah, I think I like that idea. Yeah, good idea. Thanks for suggesting that, Lori. And if they're going to come back, we can always schedule something where we just talk about it. Just do a live stream of just talking about the case. Maybe we can all come up with some kind of clues of what went on, because like right now, I found out that there was a script of their alibi where they're supposed to all be in the same page, kind of thing. Yeah. And then we found out from one of you guys, excuse me, they went 30 dumpsters to dispose of body, which is really gross. Yeah. I mean, they're just things, and they're just different stuff that comes up. Where did they find the alibi script? I don't know. I didn't do a deep read, but I don't know. Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Do you want to join Monday? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Monday. Okay. What about, we won't be long. What about 1:00 my time in Iowa Central? We'll just schedule a deep dive, and we'll just do that. Well, you know what though, Lori, that is my thought. If they dump the body parts, don't you think that authorities would have retrieved those parts? I don't know. How would they know their body parts if, I don't know. We are 1 hour behind you guys. If you're yeah, I mean, who knew that they did this? I mean, there's a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions with this. For one thing, who knew they went to 30 places to dump the body parts? I mean, how could they not known? And that could be a possibility. Cell phone logs. Oh, people, if you're going to do a crime, don't have your phone on you. I don't know why people do that. Yes, cell phone logs. I never thought of that. Thanks. Here, I'm a baby boomer. Gosh, can you imagine how much stuff you could get away with back in the day? Oh. Yeah. The monster's girlfriend. Was she there? Don't bring your cell phones. Yes. Yeah, you want to get caught? Take your cell phone with you. Oh, duh. But I don't think he's going to let the cell phone logs in. I think I read that somewhere. I may be wrong. Correct me if I am. I want people to correct me if I'm wrong. I am wrong. And I am not afraid to admit that. Like, I thought they found the body. Obviously, I was wrong. It's all over the 30 dumpsters in that area. I don't know. She tried to dump the phone, and the cops found it. Yeah. You know, why do people think just because they dump their phone, they're going to erase all activities on your phone? Seriously. Here, I'll just go like you were saying, someone in chat, I can't remember exactly who it was. Let me just go into the back roads and go 60 miles per hour, and I'll just throw the evidence away. They'll never find it. One of you said that. That was, yeah. Like Murdoch. Haven't you learned anything from Murdoch? Look, he had a videotape to prove he was guilty. I don't know. Anyway, so Monday, 1 o'clock, my time. If you're Eastern time, you're in New York, you're 2 o'clock. Spacey, I think you are 11 o'clock. I don't know. I'm Iowa, and my time is what? We'll do a deep dive on Monday, and we'll just do it just for about an hour or so. Yeah, they could still get the data from the towers. They think they're just going to destroy it. You know what? Criminals are stupid. They are so dumb. If you're going to commit a crime, don't have your phone. Okay. Seriously. You want to do it Monday during the day or Monday evening where everybody's off work? Spacey, what do you think? Because you're here while you're at work. We don't want you to get in trouble. Should we do it at 5 o'clock? Just for about an hour? Yeah, use no car, no GPS. Okay, Bundy, you're off. Okay, so we'll just say 1 o'clock Monday. All right. Yeah. And when you do rent the car, don't get a citation of a traffic violation. Remember from the Adelsons, I laughed so hard I couldn't stop. Or if you have a gun, really try not to shoot the floorboard. Okay, 1 o'clock Monday. Anyway, I can go on and on and on. Yeah, and don't shoot it in the car. Remember how much I laughed on that? I couldn't stop laughing. I thought somebody was going to slap me. Oh my gosh, Nancy. Yeah. No citation. Don't shoot the gun. Don't bring your cell phone. Don't rent a car. Use an old beat up car where nobody's going to. Anyway, 1 o'clock on Monday. We'll just go and compare notes. I'll do a dive deep. Okay, dive deep. A deep dive. See, I'm getting tired. Anyway, yeah. So everybody have a safe and warm weekend, and I will do the best I can to keep warm with all these layers I'm wearing now. And it was a pleasure to cover this with all of you, and I am very, very, very warm. I feel warm-hearted, and everything else that you guys are here just warms my heart completely. And yeah, so don't forget to hit the like button because it shows me how much you guys care. Anyway, just remember, this is our chat room. And we are in here together to figure out the pieces of this puzzle. Anyway, hit the like button. And I know you are always with me during these little live streams. It was corny. But anyway, good night. last coffee rant. And look, anyway, it's been a pleasure, and have a great weekend. See you on Monday. Bye.